our life started changing. It's going to continue. It's not going to stop when Christopher Columbus landed in 1492.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. And the life I lived back when from 6 months to 8 years old is not the same today.
No.
I can't transplant that.
No.
So today we live, and the thing about it is what I tell these people about your culture, your family is your culture.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is also I start telling them, if you don't speak your language, then you don't have your culture. Where I live, I don't live in a teepee. I don't wear moccasins. I don't wear, well, I have moccasins for some. I don't wear rich cloth and wear feather. I live the white man way.
Yeah.
And I tell them, today, where are we living? We're living today is we're like this with our white brothers. We have to understand their way of life. But remember, your family is your culture. And the ceremonies, hope we will never lose them.
Welcome to the Relationship Psychologist Podcast.
Tune in every Thursday to learn with us as we interview experts.
And laugh with us as we banter about friendship.
And take action by implementing the tools and advice we provide to you each week to level up your personal relationships.
I'm Dana Mullen.
And I'm Alicia Hinger.
We are soul sisters, besties, and psychologists on a mission to change the culture of relationships.
Your journey to becoming more supported and connected starts
right now.
Okay, so Gilbert Eaglebear is our guest today on our Relationship Psychologist podcast. So grateful that you're here today. And how to introduce you? I've been thinking about how to introduce you to this podcast because you are a man of many hats. You've done so many things. So we talked about, obviously, you and I met like 25 years ago at the jail. But before that, I just learned that you were a welder by trade originally and started off as the welder to project manager to kind of running the company of Kind Industries in one of your previous lives. And then from there into some time in politics, being a band council member of the Blood Reserve, and then working your way into child welfare and working your way eventually to today being the Gilbert, the elder, the man of all things at the current correctional center. And your actual title is Native Coordinator, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's just start with that. So tell our audience a little bit about what that means. Like, what is a Native Coordinator? And then a little bit maybe about the role of an elder in a kind of a jail setting. And maybe before we even do, I just want to give the audience a little brief of like my thoughts about you, and just tons of gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
Like I could try thinking about, you came into my career so early on, like volunteering, like when I was still a volunteer at the jail, you came into my life back then. And I'm just so beyond grateful to you for being part of my career and part of my life. And I think my trajectory of my career and my life personally are different 1000% because of you. So I'm so grateful for you in a million ways. So yeah, we'll talk about some ceremonies, of course, and talk about some things that you've taught me and all the ways you've played a big role in my life. But talk about a little bit about the role of a Native Coordinator. So we'll start there and then we'll kind of go back into ceremonies and back into some traditional, community things you do as well. But what is your job? What is your role? And
well, the start of this Native Program Coordinator, it used to be run by Native Counseling. And there was a lady that was hired by the Solicitor General, Sylvia Novak. And the Solicitor General told him, I want you to start, because Sylvia used to work for Native Counseling.
Okay.
And he got sick. And when he was sick, they terminated his job.
Oh, no.
So he started working for this, and they told him to start this program.
Okay.
So they, she hired 6 Native Program Coordinators in 1989.
That was you.
That was me, and the one that was starting off with was Grand Cache, Peace River, Edmonton Young Offenders, Edmonton, Fort Saskatchewan, and Lethbridge.
Wow.
There was 5 of us that
Amazing.
Started this job. And then later on, about probably in February, the guy from Calgary, Spike Hills, Dave McLeod, was a guard. They hired him. So he started that program.
Wow.
And that's where it all started, Native Program Coordinators. And then when Sylvia was hired by the Solicitor General, they told him to start doing Native programs.
Okay.
So that's when we introduced, he said, you have to start doing sweat lodges and all that stuff, pipe ceremony.
Yeah.
So that's when I hired a Native elder.
Right.
And we worked together for 7 years.
Yeah,
And then he left
yeah.
and I hired another elder.
Yeah, because I remember a few different elders like
Yeah.
being lucky enough to be with you, and
Yeah.
how many of us sweats we've done together? I don't know,
Yeah,
hundreds of sweats we've done
yeah.
together, but
So we started the
Yeah.
sweat lodges. Our first sweat lodge was inside the exercise yard,
yep.
January 1990.
Wow.
And then in spring, we moved it outside. And then when the program changed from like before it was you have a point system, that's how you released, but they changed it to a category system,
Yes.
category 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
So we couldn't have any more mediums to go out. So we moved the sweat lodge back in.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And then like I did this job as Native Program Coordinator for 11 years.
Okay.
And then I won some money, bingo money,
High five.
about 40,000. So I went to Finnerty. I told him I'm going to retire. He
Yeah,
said,
we've
"Good."
all heard this. We've all heard the retirement story of Gilbert.
So I retired, and then he said,
I was there when you retired the
you
first time.
retired, you come back as an elder.
Yes,
So
that's why.
back.
Okay.
And then after I was there for 2 years, they asked me, I worked 3 days a week.
Yeah.
And after that, they asked me, my uncle Martin was working for the Blood Tribe Police.
Okay.
He said, you got 2 days, why don't you come work for us? So I started off as an elder.
At the police station as well.
Police station, Blood
Okay.
Tribe Police. I was there for 6 months. End up running in this program called Foot Patrol.
Oh, wow.
And I end up being the office manager.
This is how you work. Like every job you do, you start off at this
Yeah.
level, and then eventually people
Yeah.
love you, and then you just
Yeah.
like run the.
Yeah. So
Run
I
the
worked
company.
there, and that's when my job was out for competition, and my nephew was going to run for it, and I said, if you get that job, why don't you hire me as, like I left.
Yeah.
I left after 4 months. Somebody else came in, and I started working there full time with the Blood Tribe Police.
Okay.
And one of the things I was doing this program, I got rid of some people, and they were threatening me,
Oh, wow.
and I didn't like it. So one day I was sitting in my office, and I got a phone call. This lady phone said, "I understand my nephew didn't get the job." He told Heidi, my uncle used to work here. You should hire him." I said, "No, they don't get." So he phoned me. He said, "Can you come to my office? I need to talk to you. Help me how you do the job." So we sat in there visiting with Heidi. And I said, "Well, I better go." He said, "See that office?
Oh, boy.
That
It's
used
yours.
to be your office."
Yeah.
Finnerty said when he comes, tell him to get back to work. And now it's 17 years since.
Back there. I remember when you came back, we were all like, yes. I mean, you were still there because you were the elder, you were around
Yeah.
anyways, but you came back as the elder.
Yeah, like that's what I do. I enjoy it. I've worked. I've been in the workforce since I was 20, and I'm 78, so I'm 58 years.
Working.
And I think I've worked off the reserve 40 years.
Wow.
I've never worked for my bad. I wouldn't, because I'd go crazy.
Why?
They don't come to work on time and they leave early. That's not my role.
Right.
There's a picture in the office there. There's 5 people. 5 years they never missed work.
Wow.
I was on
That's you.
my 3rd year, and I got sick. I had to get my gallstone, so I had
Yeah.
to miss.
Wow.
And that's the thing I enjoyed. And I tell my people, some of you think you don't go to work or you do things the boss doesn't see you. They said you're cheating yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's and this is how I was telling you when I was working at Kainai.
Mm-hmm.
I was always the first one there. And that's why the director put me through those
Yeah.
troops to get up there.
Yeah.
And I've enjoyed working off the reserve. And I last April, I said, probably this April, I'm going to.
Retire again.
Heidi came to me and said, "Can you sign this?" I said, "When he said just sign it, sign it."
Oh, boy.
I was sent to my email, look at it, another 3 years.
Good job, Heidi.
Yeah, but I enjoy it.
Yeah.
This is a job that I've enjoyed, trying to help people that are in that
Yeah.
position.
I don't know how we would do without you. You've been such an integral part of the community for so long.
Yeah.
You know, not just coordinating, you're involved in even community programming right now for individuals to keep them out of the jail system. But anybody that's worked in that environment, in the jail system, police system, probation, parole,
Mhm.
you're such an integral part in this community. I don't know how we would do it without
I think
you.
there used to be 6 jails, Lethbridge, 5, Lethbridge, Calgary, Edmonton, and Peace River and Grand Cache.
Gosh, yeah.
In 1995, there used to be that federal exchange, Rob Klein gave grand cash to the feds,
Right.
and I think they wish they hadn't done it.
Yeah.
So there's 4 provincial jails, and Heidi was telling me we're the only ones, the programs we do that do it,
Really?
and we're the only ones that have sweat lodges,
Really? For provincial?
provincial.
Because we went to Maple
Maple
Creek, you
Yeah,
and I, and they
yeah.
do all the. That's federal, I guess, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a federal women jail.
Right.
Yeah, and the
Okay.
one in Edmonton too is next. Just
Okay,
off
yeah.
2 blocks from West Edmonton.
Yeah, I've been there. I think I went with you there to that one too. Yeah.
And then, so that's, we do it. And the thing about it is Heidi's a really
She's
professional
amazing.
book. I just
Yeah,
love her.
she's great.
And we work together really good.
Yeah.
I have a lot of respect for her. And the thing about it is that I just enjoy what I'm doing
Yeah.
because trying to help people.
Yeah.
Like this morning, we had a session with you
Yeah.
at 6. We had a good session. We talk, and I told him, you can, like people talk about today, like a lot of people. There's one I remember, a young guy about 20 years old. He put in a request. He said, "I'm looking for my culture."
Mm.
You're standing there. He had his hair down. He said, he came from a foster home.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I can't teach you your culture in half an hour.
No.
Go out, and he was my relative. Go to your grandmother
Mm.
to deal with your culture. But the other thing about it is that I wish the people that I walk with could live the life I lived 70 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I was raised very traditionally by my grandparents. They took me when I was 6 months.
Yeah.
My great-grandmother, I was sick. I would have died, but my
Wow.
grandmother doctored me, great-grandmother.
Wow.
And I was with them for 8 years. In the life we lived, we're poor, but it was,
Yeah.
sometimes I sit there and I wish I could go back to that
Yeah.
just for 1 minute. Then I went to boarding school. And
Okay.
boarding school, went to day school and
Yeah.
boarding school, come out of it. And if I had not left the reserve at 20, I was scared.
Mm-hmm.
Like my wife, I thank my wife today. She told me that he was going to school in Edmonton. He said, I'm not going to come home this summer. You got to see me come up. So I went up to Edmonton.
Okay.
And that's where I started welding. I spent two years there.
With your wife.
And I went back here and I started working here at a company called Western Metal Fabricate. That's where I got my welding ticket.
Okay.
And I welded to 72, started a welding shop. I didn't do that much weld, but that welding ticket took me many places.
Oh, for sure.
Jobs.
It's the start of all your connections.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I enjoy it. And right now, but maybe 10 years ago, some people would come in and said, do you still weld? I said, yeah. He
Really?
said, can you weld this for me? I'll pay you tomorrow. I said, I'll make you a deal. When you get your money, come over and I'll weld it and you'll pay me. But I quit doing it.
Right.
I wasn't home.
You've owned a business, you know what
My
it's
late
like.
brother came to visit. He was looking for me. He wanted me to do some weld. He told my wife, I think I owe my brother $3,000 welding job.
Wow.
After 10,000, I think I managed to collect half.
Wow. Yeah.
So when that happens, and that's when I started working at St.
welfare.
Paul's,
St. Paul's, yeah.
Treatment Center. I welded for like my welding shop for 2 years.
Yeah.
Then I went back to, because nobody was paying me. So I had a
Yeah.
guy working for me, kind of started down. Then I started working at the treatment center.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I worked there for a year. And from there, got involved in politics.
Yes.
Which is a job.
Band council member.
Yeah, I was elected 4 terms.
Yeah. Not sometimes they're not even known by you.
Yeah.
They just would elect you without your knowledge.
And when I was working at the jail, after jail, the late shotboard side came to me and said, I'm going to nominate you for head chief.
Wow.
And back then you can run for both council and the chief.
Okay.
And if they'd have known, I could have taken my main off as band councillor. I came in 3rd, but I was the highest vote on council.
Wow.
And that's when we had those, we're fighting with those 2 chiefs and those Buffalo and all that.
Right.
And we had a re-election. I just walked away. And
Yeah.
said, and people have come to me, even this
I'm
comes
sure.
like people that come in, do you want to run for council? I said,
No.
no.
Because do you feel like you can do more good in
Yeah.
the community where you're at
Yeah.
than running for politics?
I said, I'm enjoying too much of my life now.
Mm-hmm.
I've got 5 kids, 7 grandkids, 4 grandkids. That's my life.
Yeah.
I don't need to.
Yeah.
Like on December the 28th, my daughter, my granddaughter, grandson, great-grandson, my wife, we're flying to Phoenix.
Yeah,
That's our third trip. Christmas, we go there.
that's amazing.
And the thing about it is, I look at now, like a lot of my people that been in foster homes and all that, they said, I'm looking for my culture.
Hmm.
I told them, let's look at the internet. We might find our culture.
Right.
And they kind of look at me and said, today, my culture is, like I said, 70 years ago, how I lived. We lived in a house, a one-room house, two-room house with 10 kids, and my mom, my dad, my mom, my grandparents.
Right.
We had no electricity, no power. That was like, but today, I live in a house, I got electricity,
Mhm.
got air conditioning,
All these
TV,
rooms.
and all that stuff. I said, my culture today is my 5 kids,
Mhm.
my 5 kids, 7 grandkids, grandkids. Those are my culture.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the other thing about it is people don't understand is our ceremonies
Hmm.
is not our culture. It's your spirituality.
I love that.
It's
love that.
spirituality. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And then you see these powwows. Powwows is entertainment.
Right.
Entertainment.
Yeah.
Like today now, the powwows is a big business.
Yeah.
I go to Albuquerque every year, and there's a colored guy that runs the powwow.
Yeah.
His wife is probably 1/16 Indian,
Yeah.
and they after 3 days they
That's
make
my kids. My kids are 160.
Yeah.
I think they're an 8th
Yeah.
actually. Yeah.
they make after 3 days powwow that business they make 1.4 million.
What?
Yes, and he might pay all the people that work for him and all that 400,000. He walks away with $1 million.
No way.
So the powwow is a business. It's not a culture.
I didn't know that. My goodness.
Yeah, it's
So take me back to your grandparents. When your grandparents took you in and that culture that you were raised in when you were a
Yeah.
little guy.
yeah.
What do you remember from those days that you
Well, I
still-
remember those days with my grandparents. See, let me just go back to one thing. And I don't know if anybody has seen a show called Thunderheart.
No.
There's a Thunderheart. There's a native lady. His name is Maggie Eaglebear.
Okay.
That's his Chris. And I tell my
Related?
kids, that's my first wife. He left for
Oh, yeah.
and the guy that was trying to help him, the film is around South Dakota.
Okay.
Sioux, and how that life is there. And the police officer told him, we're going to help you change things. The girl said, our life started changing. It's going to continue. It's not going to stop. When Christopher Columbus landed 1492.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. And the life I lived back when from 6 months to 8 years old
Yeah.
is not the same today.
No.
I can't transplant that.
No.
So today we live, and the thing about it is what I tell these people about your culture, your family is your culture.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is also I start telling them, if you don't speak your language, then you don't have your culture.
Right. So language is really important.
And today every year we go to a workshop here at Coast Plaza, with our language.
Yeah.
And there was a speaker got up and said, 30 years from now, hopefully it doesn't happen. There's only going to be 3 native languages in Canada.
Wow.
Inuit, Cree, and Ojibwe.
Really?
The rest is going to be gone. Like our reserve,
Like your language, Blackfoot language will be gone. And
our
wow.
reserve is the largest in Canada,
Yeah.
and the largest, we're 14,000, and only 40% speak.
Wow.
That's the sad story. And I talked to the thing about it is, I didn't speak a word of English till I was 9 years old.
Mm-hmm.
When I went to school at 8 years old, and I started to learn speak.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing about it, my English, it still was really bad. I used when I left the reserve at 20 years old, I had a hard time communicate. Sometimes the people I work with start talking to them in Blackfoot.
Right.
A friend of mine really adopted me, helped me. I
Yeah.
said, "Are you speaking that foreign language again?" So the thing about it is that our kids, we got 5 kids, 4 boys and 4 girls and 1 boy. We made the same with my wife.
Mhm.
He had was raised by grandparents,
Mhm.
same background with it. We spoke full Blackfoot.
Yeah.
He was raised by his grandparents.
Yeah.
We said we're going to send our kids to off reserve,
Yeah.
and they're going to teach. They can learn to speak English.
So Blackfoot at home and then English at school. Just kind of like what you learned.
Yeah, we
So-
didn't teach them. So,
Yeah.
but today there's some of them are starting to learn it. I said, It's not hard. You can learn if you want to.
Yeah.
I said, when I went to boarding school at 10 years old,
Yeah.
took me about 6 months to learn to speak Latin.
Yeah.
If
Wow.
I can do that, you
You
can
can-
speak.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we've got this phone here. There's
Yeah, right?
that
Yeah,
there. You can speak.
it's true.
And
There's
then
no
when they come, like part of my culture is Christmas, Easter, Thanksgiving, they all come and have a dinner.
Yeah.
There's my culture.
Yeah. I love that. I
Yeah,
love
there's
that.
my culture. And the thing about it is that where I live, I don't live in a teepee. I don't wear moccasins. I don't wear, well, I have moccasins for some. I don't wear rich cloth and wear feather. I live the white man way.
Yeah.
And I tell them, today, where are we living? We're living today is we're like this with our white brothers. We have to understand their way of life. But remember, your family is your culture. And the ceremonies, hope we will never lose them.
Yeah.
Like we have a Sundance. I'll show you a picture of a Sundance 70 years ago. If you go to that Sundance, you might see maybe 1 or 2 trucks.
Yeah.
The rest is horses,
Yeah.
wagons.
Yeah.
Last year at the Sundance, there's 101 teepees, 103 motorhomes
Right.
around.
Right.
And there was a young man that passed away. I wish I had gone. I kept delaying it. I was going to take what he told me the story. He said this is about 3 years ago. He said about a year ago, I was sleeping. And I was on top of they called it belly buttes. He said 6 elders. He named all their Indian names.
Wow.
And they told me, you lead that society, but you see those houses with wheels?
Yeah.
Get them out
rid
of
of
that.
those.
They
Yeah.
can't believe. And he said 6 months. Same thing. He said this time 12 elders. And he named all their Indian names.
Wow.
The same thing, and get those
Yeah. The wheels out of here.
out of here, don't
Yeah.
belong.
Because the ceremony
Yeah.
is about the connection with the teepees and with the
Yeah,
land.
teepees.
Yeah.
And the Sundance, it's not like we have Indian days.
Right.
Indian days on stand up. That's entertainment.
Yeah.
The Sundance is where you pray.
Yes.
You don't have entertainment. Like
Yeah.
people walking around with radios, their phones,
Yeah.
taking pictures. You're not supposed
no.
to. That's and it's changing. But I guess the thing about it is you can't stop progress.
Right.
I get very disappointed seeing that.
Yeah.
Because I remember when I was young, that circle.
Yeah.
Nobody can go into that circle
Yeah.
until they're going to do their celebration.
Right.
Over on that side, I walk on the outside.
Yes.
You don't go, and you respect
Yeah.
whatever it is. But the thing about it, this elder I work with, he's my relative, the late Pete, standing alone. He's sitting in there. He said, and he was the one that stated in 1961, he did that Circle of the Sun. And he said, maybe 10 years from now, there'll be no more Sundance.
Oh.
But then my grandfather was a member of that society from 45 to 51. When they transferred those bundles to Weasel Fat and Healy,
Yeah.
they held those bundles for 24 years
Wow.
because they didn't want to give it to anybody. Nobody would approach it.
Yeah.
And there was about, I think, 27 bundles.
Wow. Which Healy was it, Harold? Which Healy?
Art Healy.
Art. Okay.
There's 2 Healys.
Yeah.
They're not related.
Okay. Yeah.
The Healy's there and the Healy.
Yeah.
And so when these people finally transferred to late Adam Delaney and Pete, he was doing this and stuff, there was only 12 bundles left.
Wow.
And the thing about it is some of those bundles were sold to the Browning Scriber
Okay.
to run that research.
Yeah.
When he shut his museum down, he gave, interesting how it happened, he gave those bundles to the Alberta Museum.
Really?
Yes, and they were there, and Adam found out that the bundles were there. So he told the chief and politicians, can we borrow them?
Yeah.
So the museum said, sure, good, import them. So they took it, and that Sundance was
Sundance.
over. Museum came back and said, can we have our bundles? He said, no.
Yeah.
When you give something, you don't take it back.
Yeah.
So that's how we got back 25 bundles. We
Wow.
found 3 bundles now. We just found another bundle about 5 years ago. It's one of those bundles on that side. Been sitting in Edinburgh Scotland since 1912.
Wow.
Yeah.
Tell our audience what a bundle is. People don't know what a bundle is.
They're sacred bundles. And the thing about it, there's bundles were passed on, I don't know how many years.
Yeah.
I'm 78 and I've seen it maybe way back. There's bundles, they're animal skins,
Mhm.
and come Sundance, the only time we take them apart,
Yeah,
and we wrap them around poles, eh?
yeah,
And that's what we dance around.
yeah,
And those bundles that's where the powers, not the individual.
Mhm.
Some people think it's those bundles.
Yeah.
And I've seen it where it has worked. Bundles. People have changed. I'll give you an example. I just come from a dinner there. There's people that sat across me, Harriet.
Mhm.
It was in winter, and there was power shutting off. He was there with his granddaughter. And he worked at the school, and he was laying in bed and and power would go off. He told her, come and stay with me, and power's going off. Granddaughter, no, that's okay. My friend is looking after me. And next morning he said, oh, it's just the two of us. Bundle was babysitting.
wow,
It's got power. And then my wife, we were going out, it was January, about 30 below,
Mhm.
going out to do our side lodges. We do that. And he was carrying that bundle. He said, I could feel that heat.
yeah, yeah, the power and
bundle.
energy in there.
And it's no different than any other religions. Like say I'm a Catholic,
Mhm.
how they do those things, those like go back to Moses and all
Mhm.
that stuff. That's the
Same thing, yeah, same
And the thing about it is our way of life, our religion. There's nothing mysterious.
Mhm.
The only way I can compare it is I'm a 3rd and 4th degree Knights of Columbus.
Right,
We have to go through orientation
Mhm.
rituals, and I can't tell anybody how they're done.
Right.
It's the same thing with that. If you want to know, join,
yes,
so you can do
Yeah.
what's happening.
Yeah.
And there's nothing mysterious about how we do our ceremonies. And the thing about it is, I don't know how many 1,000 years, that Sundance been going on, and we
Mhm.
gathered together. And the thing about it is that those bundles, we call them, we take them apart and we leave them in bags, and we take them apart and wrapped around.
Yeah.
And on that side, they put them up and they have headdresses,
yeah,
and the other ones have, and we keep them away. We have to. They're just like babies.
yeah.
Babies.
There's energy in there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
energy there. And the thing about it is that it's been going on for years, and why we transfer them. So our way of life can
Yes,
continue.
continues. Yeah.
You can't
Yeah,
hang on to them.
yeah,
For those people that held it for 24 years, it would have stopped, would have lost it. Siksika,
yeah,
in 61, they had the same
Really?
bundles, not that many, maybe about 10, 12 bundles.
yeah.
Glenbow Museum
Mm.
went in there and took pictures. You're not supposed to.
Yeah.
They went into the Crazy Dog, they went into the Women's Society, Women's Society, 2 years after people were selling them.
Oh.
And those bundles were in the museum in Alberta.
Mhm.
And the thing about it is in 93, they have a museum. They got those bundles transferred to the museum and they started again.
Okay,
They have Sundance now.
good.
We had to go over there and we had to show them because
Yeah.
none of their people knew.
Remember,
Yeah.
yeah,
So they're having their Sundance too now.
that's good. So
And,
you're sharing ceremonies, sharing traditional ceremonies
Yeah.
with other,
And they say they have I don't know where it came from, but I guess you can't help it. I was just talking to my friend Leroy. He got relatives down in Browning. They have a Sundance down there,
Mhm.
but it's all in English.
really?
And there's an old lady sitting there. He said,
Yeah,
we never had Sundance, just the Bloods and Siksika had that.
okay,
It's transferred. Eh? And the thing about it is in our lives, everything is in four.
right, yeah, I remember that, yeah,
And like say you're born one,
Yeah.
became a teenager, an adult, and an elder.
yeah,
And that's the why we have our ceremonies.
Mhm.
Everything is in the four. Like we have the Orange Society, they dance four.
yeah,
And the other
sweat,
thing,
the rest,
yeah,
the
and the
sweat,
other
yeah.
thing about it is we have a black horse and a white horse. You dance around with. You do it 4 or 2.
yeah,
And then my friend, when I was a member for 5 years, that sat there, went to me, said, do you know why we have a black and white horse? I said, no. He said, represents day and night.
oh,
That's why,
nice,
white horses. And the thing about it is we have the Sundance, and when we gather, people come to our Sundance to get their face painted
Mhm.
so we can pray for them to have a good life.
yeah,
That's what, and I tell people there at the correctional center where I said, you pray to have a good life.
yeah,
you don't pray to come to jail.
Yeah.
One day I was sitting there and I had a relative and I said, how many of you pray to come to jail?
Yeah.
I said, it's very simple. You can be a Catholic, a Mormon, Baha'i, and everything. We only pray to one God.
Yeah, I
One
agree.
God, one
Yeah.
God. And right today now, like when I was a member of the Horn Society, I was a member of Horn Society. In the morning, I go to church. And say maybe sometime in the afternoon, somebody friendly say, we're having a sweat lodge. I go over there and have a sweat lodge.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm a fourth degree and the third degree Knights of Columbia.
That's right.
And one of my greatest honors to be able to do is to be an honor guard for Pope John the 23rd. I
Wow.
was that far away from him.
Wow.
When he turned around and had eye contact.
Yeah.
What a holy man.
That's neat.
I'll never forget that.
Yeah, that's neat. And so the idea of integrating, like you said, everything's progression, everything's moving forward. It's about being collaborative and connected, but also bringing in your culture, your traditions, your family traditions, whatever that means,
Yeah.
which kind of is universal. It's kind of a universal language that you're speaking. Yeah.
Like I said before, we're all in together.
Yeah.
There's 4 races. And there's nothing wrong with it. We can only get along. Right now, in the morning when I smudge, at night when I pray for Jerusalem.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully they'll understand each other.
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing with the Ukrainians and Russians.
Mhm.
Hopefully they will stop.
Mm-hmm.
It's just individuals that want power.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the sad thing I tell people that I deal with. Somebody giving power, they don't know how to use it.
Yeah.
Like the reason why I said I don't like being a council member. And I'm the only one of my top council in 1981. People all went to London to stop the Constitution. They gave me $7,000 a plane ticket. I was sitting in there and I said, why should I go with my plane ticket, my $7,000? I quit. I went to work and I said that Constitution is going to come home.
Yeah.
We spent about probably $1 million
Wow.
of our own going to London to stop the Constitution. It came.
It came anyways.
So what, and that's the thing. And the thing about it is that as Aboriginal people, our leaders can help us change our life, but they're no different than any politician.
Mm-hmm.
A leader, like that's why I don't like being a politician.
Yeah.
A leader only looks after himself.
Right.
And one of the jokes I tell people where I work and people that listen to him, I said, when I was a politician, there was only 3 places on this earth I never went. Can you guess? They said, North Pole, South Pole, and Cape Alberta. I've been all over the world to go. They said they're going to show them how to make eggs in Los Angeles. Let's go over there.
Yeah.
And there's an Indian rodeo every year.
Yeah.
Politicians find some kind of workshop.
Yeah.
And one day I went there quite a few years ago. I've been going there for 6 years, and I know there's 3 council members on the other side of the machine. And my friend come along and said that, oh, you're here. I said, I've been coming here for 4 years. I don't have to be on politics to come here.
Yeah.
I pay my own way.
Yes. Interesting.
And there's times I've been asked to go to places. One time I was on my way to go to New York City. What am I going to do in New York City? Went back and I gave my check back. I went to New York City on my own.
Yeah. Yeah. Talk about traveling. Talk about Africa. Because I love the stories about the connections and the parallels of the Indigenous Africans and Indigenous Native Americans.
Yeah, they're very similar to us.
Yeah.
They're really kind people. And when I was there, I was afraid or scared, and they're very friendly.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is I went to their Catholic Church Mass.
Oh,
and one thing that had really shocked me, I just look, after when the priest finished does his ceremony, they start singing.
Oh, okay.
And they start prancing in church. If we do that in a church, a priest will throw us up.
Maybe we should. Let's do it.
and it's very interesting of their culture. And they've been asking me, like Sophie, who works at Costco,
Mm-hmm.
2 years ago, it took 10 nurses. He wanted me to go back.
Yeah.
But my wife said, no, politics is too, it's not good.
Yeah,
Let's stay.
good.
I would like to have gone back.
Yeah. What was some of those? Because you did some traditional, or met with some, I think, elders there, did you not?
Yeah.
What were some of the similarities between their culture,
Well,
their
their
traditions?
culture is very similar to us. Like the friendship that they do, like us.
Yeah.
and their traditional ceremonies. It's all about prayer,
Yeah.
and that's the same thing with us.
Yeah.
And how they connect with them. How when I was there, it was very friendly.
Yeah.
They come over, shake hands, they talk. But the only thing is, they talk real fast.
Yeah.
That's,
Like me.
yeah, they're very traditional, and they're different than us.
Yeah. Are they very connected to the land as well? Is that very much part of their traditions?
And one of the things I look at my people here, some say, we have nothing. I said, oh, come on, don't tell me that. If you go to Uganda, they have no health care, no Medicare, no welfare. Only the rich kids go to school.
Right.
When we're building that medical center, sometimes there's about 20 kids, say from 10. There's some of them 8, 7, 8 years old running around, just a t-shirt, no pants, no shoes, just running around. And the girls say maybe 12, 14, they have their hands just back like that, and they're carrying a baby.
Right.
Well, their parents are trying to, if they say, if they make good money a day, $5.
Wow.
That's how, but one of the things, they're happy.
Yeah.
They're happy.
Interesting.
It's just, and that's the thing I found out, they're very happy. And so what? And the only thing I told him is the only thing I see in Uganda, that it's everywhere like that. There's Mormon missionaries and they have cell phones.
Yeah.
Where everybody else has that.
Yeah.
It's really just like I've never felt threatened or anything.
Yeah.
The people we met, and we met the director of the jail.
Yeah. Oh,
We also met the head guy of the courts.
Nice.
I gave him an eagle feather.
Nice.
And they said, come and visit again.
Yeah. And
the thing about it is the director of the correctional center, he has yellow fever. That's if you go to Uganda, two things you have to have: $50 American and your yellow fever card.
Yeah.
You don't have that.
You can't
go back. They will take you in.
Okay, so the eagle feather, that brings me back. So 19 years ago, almost 20 years ago now, on August ago, 19 years, you did a ceremony for me. We've done lots of sweats before that, but I was having some trouble getting pregnant and had some miscarriages, and you said, we're going to do a ceremony. And so we did a sweat, and it was me, you, can't remember what elder, I feel like maybe it was Charlie or someone back then. Can't remember what elder we had in there, or somebody else.
No, it was just me.
Maybe somebody else was singing though. There was you
Charlie.
singing. Was it Charlie? Okay, I thought it was Charlie. And then you brought in eagle feathers in. And I remember saying to you after the first round, or maybe the second round, I don't even know, we were outside, and I said, Gilbert, what were you doing to my back? I felt those feathers. And you said, no, that was the eagle. And I was like, because I felt the feathers, but I was, tell me about the eagle feather. Tell me about
that. The eagle feathers are a way of life, a traditional life. And it can become in certain ways. Like there's sometimes like the elder has that fan. Sometimes we're thinking that thing would fly around.
I felt it.
That's the spirit.
I felt it. Like I literally felt that bird flying around. And my eyes is dark. You can't see. Of course, your eyes are closed. And I could see this bird, and I felt this bird. And I kept thinking, what is Gilbert doing? But I felt this bird. And the amazing thing is, at the end of that ceremony, so it was in August, and at the end of the ceremony, you said, okay, you're going to be pregnant now, and you're going to have a baby boy, but born in May. And I was like, oh, Gilbert, I love your stories, but okay, sure as heck. Maybe boy born in May.
It's the thing about it is that like elders, spiritual people, they're just there to contact us. So it's the creator that does it. We call them, our wife, holy people, not to eat the pigs. In the Catholics, they call them saints.
Right.
They appear to us.
Yeah.
They can talk to us. And there's one thing, like you're saying, and there was a non-native lady, this is about 5 years ago. I started talking to him. He said, my mother-in-law, before he passed away, he told me to quit drinking. I'm trying to. I said, well, pray to her. Yeah. So we went and had a sweat, and Heidi was sitting there singing, and she was sitting next to her. She said, I was really praying. I said, I felt touching.
You felt her.
He said, I thought it was Heidi.
Yeah.
I said, no, it was your mother-in-law.
Yeah.
Telling you. And he hasn't come back.
Interesting.
He hasn't come back to jail then.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing. And there's stuff that appear. Like it can appear to you. And the thing about it is for me, I've had some things happen. And then people have said, why did you become a medicine? I said, I don't beg for it. I just pray. Yeah. And the one thing, conduit. Yeah, the one thing I didn't ask him again. I was sweating with Heidi, and he said, I looked around you, could see your light. Yeah. You He said, this is what scared me. Then I said, I remember you to tell me, spirits come and pray. So
Yeah.
I just continue praying.
Yeah, amazing.
And it's the same thing like our sweat lodges. You go in to pray.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
It's yeah.
A lot of people, like some people ask people to come there. I said, you go into that sweat to pray to God,
Yeah.
not to the elder.
Yeah.
There was one non-native guy, an older guy, said, can I go to your sweat? I want to experience
No.
it. I said, no.
You'll burn. You'll get burnt.
You come to my sweat to pray. I said, I go to the Catholic Church. I don't tell the priest, can I come to the Catholic Church to experience it? It kicked me out.
Yeah, true.
I said, I don't mind you coming. I said, having a lot of non-natives come to it, and they pray, and that's what it's about.
Yeah.
I said, it doesn't matter what religion.
Yeah.
There's only one God we pray to.
Yeah.
And that's what religion is about.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is, it's very interesting. I rediscover my native spirituality. Like I'm a Catholic, I'm a strong Catholic. When I started working in the jail 34 years ago, that's when I rediscovered it.
From when you were age 8.
Yeah.
And then into school and then back. Yeah.
Yeah. And I thank the late Art Collinglass that introduced me. He said, when I hired him, he said, well, you have to do the things I do.
Yeah.
And he's the one that
passed on those traditions.
Passed on the ceremony. And I've been up to the Sweetgrass Hills about 5 times.
Nice.
It's a beautiful place to be.
Nice.
I've seen a lot of things up there.
Yeah, it's powerful. It's powerful.
Yeah.
For me, my bias is I will experience more and feel creator way more in a sweat lodge than I ever will in church.
Yeah.
That's my experience. It's been way more powerful for me. Yeah. I think because it's so dark and you're so, for me, just so tuned in and feeling like the things I've seen and felt in sweat are mind blowing, really. Yeah. What about smudge? So I smudge, you gifted me that years ago, and I smudge, almost daily.
Basically, how I explained to the inmates and people, I said, I'm a Catholic. I go to church. I get this holy water. I bless myself.
Yeah.
Then I go in and I start praying. Or smudging is the same thing. You smudge and you cleanse yourself. However you want to smudge. Like this morning when I was smudging, there's many different ways how they make smudge. I was introduced to that sweat back in 1977 when I started working at St. Paul's. Nietzsche training brought the sweetgrass and they burned it and we passed it around the smudge.
Yeah.
And when I joined the Horn Society, they told me a different way.
Yeah.
You go like this.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Everything is in form.
Yeah. Or you burn it on a rock with the sage first and the sweetgrass on top. Or
right now, like back in the old days when we still have wood stove fire, we use the amber.
Yeah.
Like for us as the Blackfeet, we don't burn the sweetgrass.
Yeah.
As much. My brothers up north, the Cree, they burned it. That's their way.
Yeah.
There's different to it. So the thing about it, and now we don't have wood stove in our house.
Yeah.
So we're following the Catholics.
Right.
We use charcoal.
Right.
And the elders sat together and said, no, that's okay. So that's what I use.
Charcoal.
In the morning when I burn my charcoal, going where my wife sleeps, living room, and I smudge. And I pray.
Yeah. And so you're praying, with the smudge, you're praying whatever your prayers are, but I also visualize the prayers of the grass, and the prayers of earth, and the prayers of whoever braided the grass. I'm also visualizing their prayers, blessing me, and I'm grateful for those prayers as well. Yeah.
Like the inmates, some of them, especially if the people up north, they come, they smudge and they stand there and then can you move along? There's other people.
Yeah.
I said, if you're by yourself, you burn your smudge, then you can stay there and pray with that smudge.
Yeah.
But you have to pass on. It's the same thing. Go to Catholic church, or a person comes in, bless yourself, and stand there, the whole lineup. But like I said, our spiritual life. Like I went to a meeting with my great aunt, Dolly Creighton, Dolly Fox.
Yeah.
And there was Charlie and John Chief Moon. There's another elder. We're sitting there. And then he had a smudge. We smudge, we pray. And he said, do you know this smudge is not your culture? It's your spirituality.
Right. Yeah.
Spiritual. Because our way of life has changed. Before the Europeans came, it was all one.
Yeah.
It's all one. Now we've changed.
Yeah.
Life changed. We live 95% white man's way, 5% native if you are.
Right.
But many people, and like I said, the powwow was part of our life.
Yeah.
Like the way these powwows are dancing, it's all entertainment.
Yeah.
I remember powwows they used to happen at our house. It's gathering.
Right.
The house maybe a little bit bigger than this.
Yeah.
We all sat around. We have two people standing at the door. They always dance,
Yeah.
square dance, and all that stuff. And there's no people dressing up.
Yeah.
Just starting in the say 30s or 40s, people started that. What they do is they take long johns
Yeah.
and they beat it on them.
Yeah.
And that's how today
That's
it's all
exciting.
different. People make
Interesting.
different costumes.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
And then they brought in the big drum.
Yeah.
My late stepfather told me that big drum came from the Sioux,
Okay.
gave it to us.
Interesting.
For us, it's just a hand
A
drum.
little drum.
And then I've seen it where I was about 5 at our house. We had a powwow.
Yeah.
Two guys stand at the door, the hand drum.
Yeah.
And that's how we do it at their ceremonies at the Sundance.
Yeah.
4 hand drums. We
Yeah.
don't have the big.
The big drums. I like the idea too. I mean, it's part of me feels sad because I feel like, yeah, when the traditions changed, however many years ago that was, but now it's blended, and so we can choose to stay sad. And this again, this is a historical message, to stay stuck and wishing, longing for past, or be in present time and go, how can I connect and how can I contribute? And how can I have our spirituality
Yeah.
and our family and our culture and our family and move with grace and space and love in that space. Yeah. Interesting way to think about it. Yeah. What do you think? What are some of the things you think are helpful in your line of work? So with working at the jail with inmates and even the community, as far as spirituality, culture, connection, even, family, community, what are some of the things that you
Well, what I tell the inmates over there is that you're here, and many of you, if you don't think straight to do it, when you leave here, you have to go get doctored. And some of them look at me, I'm not sick. I said, yes, you're sick up here, in here. Go to a treatment center. Go see an elder. Go see Alicia. I'm not crazy. I said, crazy people don't go see. You go see, you get counsel. To get that knot untied to start dealing with it. I said, you have to deal with it. If it takes you, I said, I remember a friend of mine, I did work with him. He said, I went to treatment center 7 times. The 7th time finally clicked.
Right.
This is the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Said, you have to understand this person. I said, this is the person you have to forgive.
Yeah,
Say,
so
I'm
true.
going to change. Like there's one time we're having a sweat, and a young fellow sat by Charlie, and he told Charlie, I'm getting released tomorrow. I'm going to try. I'm going to try. Charlie looked at him. He said, no. Do it.
Yeah.
Don't say I'm going to try.
Yeah.
Go ahead and do it. This morning when I was eating, there's a young fellow who said, I'm not coming back.
I like that.
I'm going to start my new life. I said, that's the way to
That
do it.
sounds very different.
So that's what it is for them to have to hear it sometimes. How I learn all these things is I listen to elders.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the most things I look at today, and I told them this morning, is I didn't understand it back then, but my grandfather used to say, try hard, don't give up. Very simple. And it's that's the way I learned.
Yeah, don't
and
give up.
And the other thing that he always tells me, you learn from it.
I love that.
They tell you, don't touch that stove. So you go,
Yeah.
the times I told you, you learn from it.
Yeah.
That's what the elders like. I was very lucky to be raised by my grandparents.
Yeah.
Very simple life. And my grandfather would say, this is how it's done. And I remember one time we were in a wagon going down the road. We're going to go down the hill. And I was in the middle. I asked him, can I drive? He said, when we get to the bottom. I said, no. So he gave me the lines. And I started coming down. I couldn't stop. He said, thanks. My grandma's the one that helped me. When we got down to the bottom, he told me, I told you.
Yeah, right? You learn from it.
This is what you learn.
Yeah.
This is what, and one of the things that's very interesting, my grandfather used to play games with me, these things. And I remember one thing, the mockingbird makes that noise.
Yeah.
We have an outhouse, and he said, he's talking about you. So I look around there, and he plays a lot of games with me.
Yeah.
And I learned from that how he plays games with me.
Yeah.
And sometimes we have we're fooling around. We look outside and there's stochinos,
Magpies.
looking there. And then and that's how we learn to. Now I try to do that same thing to my grandkids. They get angry. So I say, And one of the things that I always tell them when the Europeans first came, they didn't know how to live, so we had to help them.
Mhm.
So now young people, when they come, we tell them, "Apamyapiko." White men from across the river, you don't know how to work.
Right?
My grandson was trying to hammer. I said, "Apamyapiko." And I explained to him, he said, with a shaky head.
Yeah.
So, and the thing about it is today, it's sad of how we're living.
Mhm.
And I remember all these words elders used to tell us. He said, "You don't have web. You can work. You can work."
Yeah.
And the thing about it is that my grandfather and my father, they learned to work. I
Yeah.
remember
That's driven into you.
my grandfather used to go work for a guy in McGrath, Birch Gip.
Yeah.
In the springtime, they go and they hoe their sugar beets.
Yeah.
In the fall, they go there and they harvest
Harvest
them.
them. Mhm.
So they found work.
Yeah.
Today, young people just rely on welfare.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
you know,
So that's lost.
and,
that was-
and I told my, and that's the sad thing. I look at it and I said, I wish we could change it. My grandson, Dax, he works at Lands,
Mhm.
and we have farmers that come in. The blood reserve is the richest reserve in Canada,
Wow.
but we're the poorest because we don't know how to manage. We've got
Mm.
200,000 acres of agricultural land. We don't know how to farm.
Wow.
And I asked my grandson, what if we could take over and start farming? He said, nobody wants to work.
Right. Farming or ranching or
Yeah,
something.
he said, nobody wants to work. And I said, oh, sad.
Yeah.
And
Where do you think that got lost? Because it was so important to your grandfather and he gave that gift to you. Where do you think that got lost? This idea of instead
well,
of
the
working
thing about it is what happened is that before 64, we used to farm all that. I remember I was 13 years old. I used to sit on the John Deere with that mate. And I know my grandfather, I was about 4 years old. There's a 50 acres. He turned it by horse.
Yeah.
And he worked. But then in 1964, we'd farm our own land.
Yeah.
And Indian Affairs was looking after everything, and Indian was very good. So council members said, why don't we lease our farmland? When we pay all our bills, we'll take it back.
Right.
And it was for 5 years. After 3 years, some of those people that paid all the bills, there's money sitting in there. And the same councillor said, why don't we give them some of that money?
Right.
So they got their money and they said, see, I don't have to farm.
farm.
Somebody's going
Right.
to farm it for me and I get more. And we have been able to stop
It
that.
makes sense.
And the other thing that really,
Golden handcuffs.
yeah, you
Yeah.
just sit there, came in. And like that is the time, like our reserve was very sufficient. We were able to work on, but the three things is that farming changed our life. The other thing that changed our life is we went into elective system.
Hmm.
And the other thing is when liquor was open to us in 66.
Right.
That's when we went back.
Yeah.
So that's the
Yeah. So the land, alcohol, and that was it. All you said.
election.
Election.
Before there was traditional.
Okay.
Your council member chief for life, eh?
Oh.
You get to, when somebody dies, okay, this is where you're from, we'll nominate somebody that's how we elected. And a lady, Priscilla Bruce, started a petition to go for tribal election.
So she kind of created democracy on the
Yeah, so we changed to two-year system and that hasn't
and
changed.
that's interesting.
Our councillors only work for their immediate family and themselves, nobody else.
Nobody else.
So they're right now,
Well, before it was elected, they worked for the tribe. They worked for the community.
yeah, it's supposed to work for everyone. It doesn't
For
work that
everybody,
way.
yeah.
Doesn't work that. And the thing about it is right now, our elective councillors, there's 13 of them. They make an average of a year about 160,000.
Right.
Their salary is 100,000 and their traveling is 60,000.
Right. Kind of sounds like politics everywhere.
Yeah.
What you're describing kind of sounds like
I said, and somebody was telling, I was talking to somebody, I said, all politicians are crooked. He said, how do you know? I said,
I was one.
I was one.
That's interesting.
That's why I left. I couldn't stand it. I get paid for what have I done?
Yeah.
I tried and then yet if I was young, if I was 30 years younger, I run, but I'm going to have a party with me so we can change.
Make changes.
Changes.
Right.
Yeah, we can farm our own land.
Yeah. And there's something about, that feels sufficient and that feels
Yeah.
connected and feels,
Yeah.
serving the community. And there's,
Yeah, we can farm our own land like
bigger
that.
than just a job. It's
200,000 acres.
Yeah.
And, we've made people around, we've made a lot of farmers, millionaires around, yet we're sitting here poor.
right with their hands out, not
Yeah.
having any connection to the land or our soil or each other.
And there's some family
Also makes you
members.
dependent.
And the thing about it is the blood reserve and all reserves are, everybody owns it. It's invested in the Crown of Canada. Nobody owns it outright, but it just so happened before we're become 14,000, there's 2,500 of us, we claimed land. Eh?
Right.
But when this lease came out, that's when people started claiming those lands because you get free, you don't have to work to get free money.
Right.
So
Wasn't the Blood tribe one of the last ones to like sign the Indian Act? Like, didn't they kind of fight that?
yeah. So nobody owns the land. I told them I wish we could do the same thing. Siksika with the same problem. So there's one elected council said, that's it. They took all the land back and they said, if anybody wants to farm, they'll farm the land. We'll give them a husband and wife, 10,000 acres. When their income, they pay so much to the bad.
Right.
Grassland, anybody can use it. No more that. And
Okay.
it works and it's helping.
And it's helping.
Yeah, and I wish we could do that same thing.
So why can't they do it at the Blood?
Politics, nobody wants politics. And the sad thing about it is I remember one guy, he was about, like I know him from the jail. I walked into the bank and next morning he was sick and he smelled that guy. He had $1,800 from his farm.
Right.
And the girl said, do you know him? I said, yeah, I know him. I signed for him and got his money. 2 days after, no, maybe a day after, he was sitting in welfare to get welfare money.
Right.
I think that night he spent all that 1,800.
Yeah.
Somebody stole it.
Yeah.
That's the sad thing.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Yeah. It's a
like
cycle
I said,
now. Second
Yeah,
cycle.
like everybody owns blood reserve belongs to everybody. They should get all the income. Right now they're doing something. They get these distributions. If you're a if you're a landowner, you only get so much. Like I have some land, but I had to pay for it. From my dad and my brother had to pay for it. That land didn't get it free. So when we get that distribution, I only got $350. But my wife is the landowner. He got $675.
Really?
So that's starting. So hopefully that will change things. People
Okay.
will start to think.
Huh.
So
So we got to encourage the younger generation to, somehow want to, like your grandfather, like work the land and be part of the connection of the land.
Remember,
to
like I
take care of each other.
remember when I was 13, 14, I used to sit in that tractor.
Yeah.
And one thing I used to think about it today, when you make the round,
Yeah.
you miss a spot.
Yeah.
And then after I finished, my dad said, no, you finished, but when you finished, you crisscross.
Oh,
Covered that.
right. Covered again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we cursed that. And then my dad, my brother, my dad, and Hugh Tallow and my uncle Stan were the last ones to farm.
Interesting.
I remember I said one time I like sitting in that combine thrashing. I said I remember one time I was on that combine for 13 hours.
Yep. That's a
Just-
typical
I
farmer
just
day.
enjoy it.
Yeah.
And my grandson works for Ben Walters. And
Yep.
I told him one of these days when you farm, ask me, I'd just like to sit in there.
Oh, nice.
He takes pictures, he has his feet up,
Yeah.
conditioned.
Well, combines now is
Yeah,
it's a computer. You're running a computer now, not just a vehicle anymore. But
Like I said before, comparing when I went to Uganda, those people struggle and they survive. For us, it's all there. You just have to say, I'm going to do it. I'm going to farm.
right.
But we're getting to the point where we're lazy.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
have to do, everything has to be. And the sad thing about it is that we're never going to get out of that system where the government, Indian affairs control our lives.
Yeah.
Once we can get out of it. Like there's one Indian affairs guy when I was in politics asked me, what do you want? What do you want? It was my good friend. We really argue. I said, well, the only thing I want you to do, he said, you're always driving. You always tell me this is how you drive. This is how things done. I said, why don't you let me drive?
Yeah.
You sit beside me and advise me.
Yes.
That's when I can do more. Right now you're driving.
Yeah.
You tell me
Taking
this
over.
is not this vehicle, this is how you,
Yeah.
but you won't let me.
Yeah, I love that.
experience. That's the only way.
Yeah.
Like the last guy to farm, and he's passed away, Utello. He was 71 years old when he was
Wow.
still farming.
Wow.
His dad was farming.
Wow.
And my uncle farmed too.
Even just to find purpose, even if it's not farming. Like I like the story you were telling earlier today about the guy you were helping that was in the gang, and he's gonna go tell a story to the kids at school. It's still sharing, it's still
Yeah.
contributing,
Yeah.
and that gives you purpose.
Yeah.
So, farming's a beautiful job, obviously, but there's other jobs that make you feel like you have purpose and contribute to your community. So, there's other ways that you can.
And like I said before, we should pick up these, council should pick up these people on the street. We're going to send them to treatment center
Mhm.
and get Ben Walters starting maybe January, put him to a class, how to operate.
Yeah, something,
See some of-
combine or something, or
combine.
welding or
Like
whatever.
right now, and I tell those people that when you leave here, they said, right now, there's job opportunities.
Mhm.
They're building a skating ring
Yes.
and they're building a courthouse where we're going to, our office, the peacemakers, and they're building a new school in Laverne.
Yeah.
Jobs, go
Yeah.
over there.
Yeah.
Some say, I don't know, I don't have a job. Go there.
Yeah. Go there. Yes.
All that they could.
Yeah.
And some of them I said, you can go back to school,
Yeah.
apprentice.
Yeah.
That old school, I think they're going to be starting doing apprentice.
Good.
And I think they're asking me to help them control it.
Nice.
I said,
Yeah.
somebody that's interested, I'll show them how to
Yeah.
put it
Well,
away.
you're living proof, right? You start off with a welding certificate. Living proof of that welding certificate led you in so many directions. So
Yeah.
don't get in your head that you think, oh, I'm going to start in this trade, which my husband does a
Yeah.
trade. So I think it's a great job, right? But, you never know what's going to lead you. Start somewhere
Yeah.
and have purpose somewhere. And then what? And then if you just do it, your grandfather said, just work, just do
Yeah,
it, show up and learn from it.
Like I said,
It'll lead you.
the apprentice, you sign up with a company and you only go to school 6 weeks a year. And I said, you don't have to be a scientist. Well,
No.
just before I forget, my granddaughter,
Yeah.
Haley,
Yeah.
is going to become a doctor in March,
Oh, good. Congrats.
and he's not finished.
No,
Going to go for another 4 years.
for specialty.
Plastic surgeon.
Oh, gosh. Well,
And I said to him, oh, I'm glad, Haley, you can practice on me.
no. She's going to fix things like melanoma scars and
Yeah, he's a very smart girl. I'm very proud. And I
Yeah.
have a nephew that's a doctor,
Nice.
Shay Eaglebear.
Oh, good.
He's been a doctor now about 6 years.
Wow, that's amazing. You have amazing kids and amazing grandkids.
But Haley was going to be just a general doctor in
Yeah.
practice. But
That's also pretty amazing.
yeah, then he said, I'm going
Plastics.
for plastic surgeon.
Yeah,
And I guess they make lots of money.
probably. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Amazing.
he said, when he was going to school, I have some money. We gave him some money to start out. And
Yeah.
He said, Grandpa, remember this. I'll look after you when
Yeah.
you get old.
We've instilled that your grandfather's passed on to your kids and your grandkids now because
Yeah.
that hard work and
Yeah.
just do it
Yeah.
has been the motto in your family.
One of the things I always talk about is that we all come from the same creator.
Hmm.
If we can learn to work together to be friends.
Yeah.
And one of the things I always thank people like you, you're my friend.
Hmm.
There's lots of non-natives that are my friend. When I left the reserve, this fellow Scotsman, Hawkenbeck, had no vehicle. He lived on 149th. I lived on 100. He picks me up to go to work.
Nice.
And he became my friend. And we go to his place on weekends,
Hmm.
get together. And when I got married in 1960, I didn't have to pick me up at our house, took us to St. Albert. I think he
Wow.
was there, brought us back home.
Amazing.
So I used to go visit him.
Yeah.
Really nice guy.
It's the stories of doesn't matter where you came from and what you did, you can decide to create connection and friendship, community
he
today.
said, I was drafted when I was 17,
Yeah.
German army.
I didn't know what I was fighting for or who I was
And he
fighting.
said I got captured after 2 months.
Wow.
And the interesting thing about it, I don't know if you understand it, Germans are fascinated about
Native culture.
culture.
Yeah, I
Native
know.
culture.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
like
told me stories. Yeah.
yeah, my friend John Healy told me he was going to a clinic in McGrath. And he said, I saw an old fellow sitting there. I said, I went over there, started visiting with him. He's from Browning. And he told him, I was in World War II
Wow.
and I got captured. And he said, we're held in one corner where the general came over there, told 2 guys, come with me. I come into his office, said, I know you the guys didn't volunteer to war. You were forced to go to war.
Yeah.
We're not fighting you. We're fighting the American and the English.
Yeah.
We're going to take you out of there. You're not going to be you're going to work, do cleaning stuff, like janitors,
Yeah.
you're going to eat the same food.
Wow.
Said that, and they said, but the only thing is, if you try to run away, we'll kill you.
Oh,
Said in the
you're still a
years,
prisoner, but
yeah, in the years, that's what we did. We ate the same meals, and they look after us.
I wonder why. What's the curiosity, do you think?
They're just fascinating.
It is interested.
I've got a link on my phone. You can find it. Germans have been doing the native cultural thing since 1940
Since the wars.
in East Germany.
I wonder who brought the culture there.
Somebody
the
brought
traditions.
it there,
Someone did, yeah.
and like a friend of mine, I used to work with a guy who works in family service, Peter. I don't know his last name, sure. The one who gave it to me, he said,
Yeah.
we're fascinated.
Interesting.
And some of those people, there's an author named Carl Walsh.
Okay.
He wrote 7 books about something similar to Lone Ranger and Tonto,
Yeah.
but never been to North America.
What?
Yeah, they have a village in East Germany of native, and
Yeah.
see if I can find it. Like I said before, I have no problem with non-natives want to participate because I'm living your life.
Right.
You know, they can't say, "Hey, that's not your life. Go back to your Indian life." And this is why I have no problem sharing
Yeah.
with my spirit, my way of life, my culture.
Yeah.
See if I can.
Well, it's a
find
gift. I gotta tell you that much.
Yeah.
It's been a huge gift in my life and my kids' lives, and
Mhm.
yeah, and even even my husband, who's Métis, but even being able to teach him what you've taught me, and then he gets to go back to the reserve and learn from other people that teach him, others that take him under their wings, and yeah, it's a beautiful experience for sure.
Right here,
Okay,
you can find that.
how do you say that name? Winnetow?
Yeah, yeah.
Winnetow? Ojibwe author and humorist. Ooh. Drew Hayden Taylor's questions on the roots of German obsession with Native North Americans. Interesting. CBC documentary. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
I'll put this in the show notes. Anybody that's curious about it can look it up on CBC documentary.
So, and you see them dressed like natives. They put their teepees up. They sing and they dance.
And do you think there's other elders or coordinators or just, Indigenous people that are offended, like North American Indigenous that are offended by that?
Well, some are offended, but I tell them we have to share. People are interested.
Yeah.
There's some people that do like you respect it, but there's some that abuse it. Yeah.
Right.
We have one guy that married a native woman, Beverly Little Bear, Adolf Hungeroo. He does ceremonies, he speaks our language, but he does a lot of crazy different things. He got chased out of Cuba.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Adolf Hungeroo, and he stole some artifacts and he sold them.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. That's so honest.
yeah, but then there's different. There's one German, I don't know if he's gone to court yet in Arizona. It was probably this big, maybe bigger. He was having a sweat lodge, but he had it covered with plastic.
Ooh.
2 people died in there. You don't cover your sweat
No.
with plastic because air can get.
Yeah.
Yeah, they charged him.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes, we're going to do stuff just with anything you're going to do,
Yeah.
whether it be Indigenous culture or,
Yeah.
Catholics or whatever you said, like you want to
The
respect.
thing about it is, like it's
teachings.
always said, we're all in this together. We have to share. And the thing about it, there's some of my people that don't like white men never change.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is same with your people. Some of the people that are going to treat us, but then there's good people.
Yeah.
People that understand became our families.
Yeah.
I've worked with a lot of non-native people, non-natives that I've worked with understand, and I have a lot of respect for them, and they've treated me.
Right.
Like an example, like Gary.
Yeah.
Just every time we meet, he comes give me a hug.
Yeah.
I love you, brother.
Yeah.
The other guy, I'm supposed to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't,
Yeah. So making those the loudest voices in there, making the ones that are connected, understanding, making those voices louder than the ones, because really, I'm going to guess, I could be wrong, but the people that are going to take advantage, are going to sell bundles, are going to, in any tradition, whether it be Indigenous or Catholic or whatever, I feel like there's a smaller amount of people. I'm hoping a small amount of people that do those, and let's make the voices that are connected and are authentic, the louder voices.
Yeah. And the thing about it is like I said before, we can't say no to people that want to know about us and way of life. They want to know so we can understand each other.
Yeah.
And that's the sad thing is there's some of my native people will hate you for the rest of their life. They want to share that was theirs. And the thing about it that really changed us is the boarding school.
Yeah.
Changed us.
Yeah.
Like I spent 6 years in boarding school.
Yeah.
And then after I started working at St. Paul's, I went through Nietzsche, was able to get out that hate.
Yeah.
I learned to cry.
Yeah. How did you do that? How did you, because were you taken, or was it traditional boarding school where you were taken from your family against your family's will?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I said,
Horrific.
and I learned to understand, and I said, hey, and then when I found out, well, I knew my grandfather was John Fred Pace. He was a nurse. Then I'll find out my grandmother's father, the one that raised me, his father was also an RCMP, George Anderton.
Wow.
Was also an RCMP.
Yeah.
And that's when I said, well, they're my families. How can I hate them?
Right.
Then I found out I'm part Mexican.
Right. The Heinz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went to 2 years ago, we went down to Albuquerque. We went to those where they cook in front of the Japanese steakhouse.
Yeah.
The cook he said, I'm Mexican.
Yeah.
I said, you could be my brother. I said, how? And I said, my great grandfather was Mexican. He said, oh.
Interesting. Yeah.
His name is Jose Vanningberg.
Wow.
I'm going to do some research.
Yeah, interesting.
Find.
Oh, you will. I know you will find it.
And then the present chief, Roy, told me, he said, our grandfather, Fred Pace, is originally when Romans invaded England. Hey?
Okay.
That Pace is a Roman name.
Really?
And I said, then we could be related to Julius Caesar.
Right?
Yeah, he said the Pace name is part of it.
You know, you just make me think, instead of being like hateful of like people because of one person or because of a handful of people.
Yeah.
That's putting people in boxes. If we can like learn to be like, let's be more expansive, we're all human race. And like you said, there's bad apples in every orchard. For sure.
Yeah.
There's bad apples in every, and so don't eat the bad apples.
Yeah.
Maybe you can avoid those ones, but if you can look beyond your hate to find compassion for yourself first and your own experiences, but also then, find the good ones.
Yeah. One of the things I look at what is happening today for us is not so much because the way we're treated in boarding school. So we got out of it. We're going to continue hate, but some of them have learned to forget it. The thing about it, like you were asking me about Uganda, what I found out is how their way of life, very gentle, very kind.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is that what I was told, and now they're telling me there's 4 cultures.
Yeah. What are they?
The white.
Yeah.
Yellow.
Yeah.
Red. Black.
Yeah.
They said
the medicine wheel.
They said the black given gift be gentle.
Yeah.
Red people given gift vision.
I love that.
Chinese given technology. White given movement.
Interesting.
You can mix white paint with black, yellow, red. You can mix, but the others won't mix too good.
Interesting.
That's what I was told. He said he said that the Africans, the colored people, are given the power of kindness. Gentle. And that's what I saw.
Wow, that's really beautiful.
Saw it when I went into Africa. It's really beautiful.
That's a really beautiful way to see it.
And like I said before, if I had not left the reserve at 20, I wouldn't be here where I'm at to understand my white brothers.
Yeah.
Because they're my brothers, they're my family.
Yeah.
I'm part of that. I can't say I'm native 100%. No, I fortunately, and I have to accept that life of my great grandmother Mary. His first husband was a Frenchman,
right?
A Marchand.
Marchand. So Métis, it's a Métis in there.
Yes, his first 2 boys are Mike and Charlie.
Yeah.
And he beaded his husband a buckskin jacket. And he was in Fort Benton in the bar and come out staggering. Soldiers thought he was an Indian that shot him.
What?
Yes, they shot him. So he left Fort Benton, came back to reserve, and he
lived.
Yeah, he came back.
Why you're so open? You lived a multicultural life.
Yeah,
since the start, since before you were born.
He was really a traditional. You know.
How do you think we stop or help those that hate each other?
Yeah,
even not just in your culture, like Indigenous, but like anywhere. Like, what's your advice to the world that there's so much hate and resentment that just from generations back?
I guess the only thing maybe people would understand it, but the only thing that makes us go through that is that guy down there,
Right.
making us there.
So give up your power. Give up your power to.
Powers
to-
and people just, and the thing about it is I look at it this way. I said, when we're, like say you and I were both young, about 3-4 years old, 5 years old, we played together. But when we got old, and it's our forefathers tell us, hate the Indian, hate the white man.
Right.
There's no reason
Right.
to explain it. It's just, they were brought that way. So
Right.
they continue
Right.
to do that.
So maybe to question those truths, like when you're a kid, it doesn't matter. You just play whoever you play with.
Yeah.
And as you get older, you're carrying stories that are, they're real.
Yeah.
Like some, the things that
Yeah.
you went through in those schools were not kind. They're awful.
Yeah.
But how did you find forgiveness? And I know that you said you went, realized that your grandpa was a RCMP and you found forgiveness, but how did you get past the hate and the resentment?
And this is what I tell people when I work with them. You have to forgive this person.
In here first.
When you do that, then you can be able to forgive people.
What was there to forgive though? You did nothing wrong. You were
Yeah.
taken from your family and put in a residential school.
A guy you did wrong, you can forgive him, but it's up to him to forgive you. You can't make people change. And I said, you walk away from it. I forgive that person I did wrong. I don't have to carry it on.
Yeah.
And this is what I told people. I said, quit carrying that garbage you're carrying. Throw it away.
Yeah. It's not serving you.
And I said, I wish we could change what we did yesterday,
Yeah.
but we can't. Leave it there.
Yeah.
And tomorrow, don't live tomorrow, live today.
Yeah.
See, some of them, I tell them, some of you think this way. He said, gee, I did this wrong yesterday. When I leave the jail, I think I'll do it again. Sure enough, you do it again.
Yeah.
You're forgetting today. And one of the other things it's powerful when we meet with the ladies, and I tell the ladies are very powerful, very powerful. And you can, I've seen you ladies that raised their kids alone, like my mother.
Mm-hmm.
My dad was always away in jail and all that. There was 10 of us. My mother raised us.
Wow.
And I said, there's women that are very powerful. And I said, one of the things I'm going to tell you to this, if you are in a relationship, it's not working, get out of it.
Yeah.
You don't need to stay in that relationship. Yeah. I said, a relationship has to be 50-50.
Yeah. Safe, secure, loving, respectful.
Yeah, respect. And you suffer together. And that's what my wife and I went through. We've been together for 60 years.
Wow.
And we've been married for this Christmas, 58 years.
That's amazing.
Originally, before I quit drinking, I used to be bad. I used to run around. I used to drink. I used to think it was. But when I quit drinking, I started to change.
Yeah.
Right now, today, I do what I can.
Yeah. You did sober for 40, how long? How many years?
47 years.
47 years.
Yes, it's just amazing. One day I just said, enough, I'm not going to drink.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah. And then how much your life changed because you were welding back then still, running businesses, running kind of industries.
Yeah.
And moved into this beautiful leadership.
If I had to stay that kind of industries, I probably would have drank myself to that.
Right.
Like I'd go to work in the morning and have a bottle of whiskey in my desk, take a drink and I go out and I give my boys hell.
Yeah.
But then I realized that's not the life I had when I got out of that. And I tell them I've got 4 brothers. They're all dead.
Wow.
My older brother drank himself to that cirrhosis.
Wow.
The brother after me, he was 19, he was drinking and running what happened, he hung himself.
Oh my goodness.
Then my younger brother, he was drinking, this was about 10 years ago, 15, driving up to university, hit a lamp pole, killed himself. He was drunk.
So they all did.
Then my half brother, Fritzy, he was drunk, got hit by a sea train in Calgary. They said they couldn't be all here.
Wow.
But it's
alcohol.
Alcohol.
Yeah.
And I said, it's the same thing with drugs. Drugs is no good for you. No. And I said, my happiness, I don't need to drugs, or I don't need to drink to be happy. My happiness is my family get together.
Yeah.
Like this trip I'm going.
Yeah.
So my granddaughter and my grandson, when we told them, he said, we don't have any money. I said, I'm not asking you, I'm going to pay for your flight and we're going to give you money.
Nice. Okay, so let me end with just saying thank you. You're a gift to anybody that knows you, and anybody that knows you would say the same thing for sure. So, I appreciate you. Our community appreciates you. The jail appreciates you, and I can't even imagine how many inmates and individuals and people you've crossed paths with over how many years, 100 years of doing your work, and we're grateful for you and all you do. And this is the only thing I say. I really appreciate people like you,
accept me for who I am.
Wow, you're a gift.
Think about it. You said, my love for you is very, very strong.
Yeah.
And I know our friendship will continue to.
Beyond this life.
Long like go.
Yeah, it's true.
And I know you, that's the thing. I enjoy life is that people like you. I know I've got friends all over
Yeah,
that
it's true.
respect and I think them,
Yeah.
especially the guy I'm talking about, that Hockenbeck,
Yeah.
little Scotchman. He used
Yeah.
to do that dance. I love it.
Awesome.
Thanks so much for joining us.
We're really glad you're here with us on this journey.
The best way to support this podcast is to subscribe and give it a 5-star review.
See you next time.
This has been a Bread Dog Studios production.